Welcome back, Dota 2 fans, to the National Cup brought to you by ProDota. We are MRP and Couchor here. We got game two of this two-game series between Finland and Turkey. Turkey taking game one in fairly convincing fashion. They had pretty patient play all game long. A good laning stage translated into pretty much a lead that they held all game long. One dream fight for Finland. Looked like they had life in the game, but overall, Turkey just very well coordinated and able to take this one in about 50 minutes. We'll see if Finland able to draw it back up. What do you expect from the drafts from both sides, Couchor?
Well, I can say for almost a certainty that drafts are going to be rather different just because three of the heroes that we saw in the last game are already banned out. The Tusk and the Lina by Finland. Of course, Finland themselves used Lina, but even so. And of course, Tombbringer with the Venomancer. So maybe a Queen of Pain first? Yes. It's just too good of a hero to pass up, really.
Yeah, they're going to pick that up for the mid lane for Nemphy, who was really the only silver lining for the Finland lineup last game on the Wind Ranger. Everyone else felt pretty underwhelming, not for lack of play. Trixie did fairly well as well throughout the game, but just a little bit lackluster overall as the lineup didn't get enough across the map. Surprised not to see a TA ban here. Don't know if that was exactly the problem, but Necroman beasted in that mid lane on the Templar Assassin last game. Of course, the Queen of Pain, though, is going to dissuade them a bit from going towards that TA route, as she does fairly well against him in lane. One of the few, against her in lane, I should say, one of the few heroes who does so. So we'll see what the opening is coming out from Turkey now on the Radiant side.
Well, I'm hoping for something a little bit unorthodox, but maybe, I don't know, go for like a support plus a gyrocopter, something like that. They do
Yeah,
get a
Wyvern.
support. Oh, a Darkseer instead.
Yeah, this is not a hero that tends to slip through all that often, but generally speaking, in the second and third game of a series, the first phase of bans kind of reflects what was detrimental to a lineup, what was really key or crucial to a lineup in the last few games. So, and that is the case here, and they'll leave the Darkseer open for the Turkish squad, who will be able to pick it up. Of course, vacuum into Winter's Curse, and nothing to scoff at. Very potent combo there. But early fighting already going to get queued up a little bit from Finland. They're going to pick up the Dirge here. And certainly Undying with a little bit of a rework, but more or less as strong as he was. And with that new Aghanims upgrade, if he's ever able to get it, pretty scary in that right. So we'll see if they're able to get much done here. Already a little bit of a lack of catch in the first two cores for the Dire side. So Darkseer should have a pretty good time thus far. Of course, neither of these heroes in general are going to be up against that Darkseer in lane unless we see a 4-position Undying. So we'll see what he has to face up against still to come. Gyrocopter ban coming out from the Dire side. Dazzle ban going to be removed out from the Radiant. So once again, Dazzle, I think, removed both times by Turkey here. So not something that they're really willing to face up against. Perhaps going to be a little bit more reliant on their burst going forward.
I mean, it definitely makes sense to ban out the Gyro when, well, the Darkseer is already there as well, just vacuum into cooldown. It's definitely not the scariest of combinations, but it's still a start, plus just the fact that even early on, you can surge up the Gyrocopter who then charges at you with the Rocket Barrage, so definitely the synergy would have been there. But they also ban out the Shadow Fiend, so removing a safe laner plus a mid laner now as well. Whereas Turkey, just full on focusing on banning out supports for now. Dazzle and the Earthshaker.
IO pick, interesting one for Turkey side. IO Tiny has done extremely well thus far. And maybe this forces the Dire into a corner in terms of what they have to pick up to come. But it's going to make the lanes considerably weak, I feel, coming out from Turkey side. Although they are on the Radiant and the IO will be able to do perhaps double stacking. I feel like their poke is a little bit limited at this point. Of course, they're probably going to want to duel mid lane up against that Queen of Pain. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see someone who's going to be present in that mid lane a little bit early on from the Dire side. Maybe they go back for the AA once again for OKC and put that in the mid lane early on. But they're going to pick up the Disruptor, so natural counter to the Relocate. Static Storm as well as the Glimpse, both very nice tools to have at your disposal up against that. Not sure that they needed to pick up the Disruptor this early on with the Radiant already showing their hand in terms of support, but they pick it up nonetheless, and they are going to give over the Tiny to the Radiant.
Lame. I was hoping for a Sven, just good old cleave into like vacuum into cleave, something
Oh,
like
the
that.
dream, the dream.
Yeah,
Sven never
but
picked up really anymore, and
uh,
Tiny very strong in this patch with the new buffs to his intelligence.
to be honest, I must say that I'm hoping for more IO in all the games, just because I'd like to see more disruptor. That's like the only reasoning.
Yeah, it's kind of been, I feel like, the slightly cheese strat of 6.85 thus far. I feel like this Tiny IO win rate is pretty much paramount of all maybe two hero combos. I feel like it's really through the roof at this point, and a lot of heroes, typically Monkey Business runs this like crazy. A lot of teams, I should say, have been able to do this to great success. We'll see how Finland is able to run up against it. I mean, they've played against 4CNL, they played against MFF and Monkey Business, who all run this from time to time. So they're certainly familiar playing against it, and you see that instant disruptor pickup. But felt like they could have left that to the end. They should still be able to find a pretty strong core here. Um, but either way, they're gonna be hard pressed early on, at least like in this mid lane with the Queen of Pain, and we'll see if there is the kill potential. Tiny's gonna be able to at least harass the heck out of her.
Man, just the Tiny combination is so far undying, depending on the items that he gets, may be able to survive the combinations, but like early on when Tiny is just like level 7, 8, just about to get the max on both the Avalanche and the Toss, really so few heroes can survive that. Well, Lone Druid, with his own ultimate form activated, might be one of those. Plus, of course, it's probably going to be somewhat hard for Tiny to even get close to the Lone Druid, with the Lone Druid just sitting back and letting his bear do the work. But what do you think of the Lone Druid in general? I think it's pretty nice. I mean, it can also farm the safe lane without being disrupted by the Ion Shell, for example.
With the Aghanim Scepter, the Lone Druid's fairly potent. Before then, I really don't know. I mean, this is a lineup that is geared to fight. Queen of Pain, Undying Disruptor, definitely have some 5-man potential here. So maybe the Aghanim's not even needed for this Lone Druid. The Root is very nice up against the IO and the Tiny, two heroes that really want to be running around in the fight with that overcharge and that extra movement speed. But whether or not your bear can get into range is another story. Of course, the Phase Boots buff kind of helped this out a little bit for the Lone Druid. So we'll see how he fares. I guess they feel that they can take advantage of the laning weakness early on, and the Lone Druid should do well up against that safe lane of Wyvern +1. And in that sense, I really do like the pickup. But in general, I don't know how strong the Lone Druid can be. Of course, buffs to both the Battle Cry and a couple of things for the LD here. He's got a lower cooldown on his summon as well. So LD stronger. Not sure if he's totally viable, but perhaps Finland looking to prove me wrong on that front. And the Broodmother ban comes out once again from Turkey, and the Legion Commander ban, a very wise one coming out from the Dire side here from Finland. Of course, setting up a duel into a relocate more often than not will net you a kill and even some bonus damage. So don't mind that them taking that away from the safe lane. Also with press the attack and cold embrace, much sustain to that dual lane. So definitely could have done very well.
Well, we'll see what will be the last heroes at the moment, but if you just look at the 4 heroes on either side, is there a side you favor clearly going into the game, taking into account everything, laning phase, mid game, late game?
Still feel like there's quite a bit of a lack of catch for the Dire. So at this point, I got to favor the Radiant quite a bit. The last pick, of course, could turn the tides. But right now, things looking good. Slark, definitely an elusive carry, and as mentioned, I mean, lack of catch. And when Slark is going up against a lineup who does not have very reliable disable and a decent amount of burst, he is going to do extremely well. So I feel like once again, it's somewhat of an outdraft from Turkey side here. And Klasinki, very bright mind, evidently. But Bristleback will be the final pickup for Finland. And they've tried to run this hard one position carry Bristle, but it hasn't really worked out too much. Nemphy is going to pick that up. I still expect it to be towards the safe lane, even though he's a mid laner in general. Boogie probably just a little bit more comfortable on that lone druid. So Bristle and Boogie on the lone druid will probably, be on the side lanes, and we'll still have that mid lane go towards the Queen of Pain here for Klisinki. But we'll see what the laning configuration ends up being. Still feel like there is quite a bit of an advantage here for the Radiant in terms of draft. We'll see how it ends up panning out.
I mean, so far Nemphy is the one picking up Bristleback, and Queen of Pain might be handled by Trixie, but of course you can still easily swap it once you actually get inside the game as well. Maybe they just want to create a little bit of confusion in the minds of the enemies as well. But is this gonna be like a lane player swap instead of? I mean, is it gonna just be Trixie handling Queen of Pain in the mid lane?
Yeah, I feel like it's a role swap. It doesn't make much sense to me to put the Bristleback mid.
Although, up against IO Tiny, Bristleback does not get completely crushed with.
But he still won't. He won't find last hits, and Queen of Pain will. I feel. It's tough to say. Maybe they put in one of the supports with him, but I mean, how well does Disruptor do in lane in general? He's not a scary support at all, and you need to find him levels, and they won't really be able to do so mid lane, I feel. So I feel like he's better off pulling in the side lane alongside his carry, and Queen of Pain has the blink away. So if she keeps diligent about regen, should be fine in this mid lane, despite definitely being shut down a bit, and perhaps the lone druid gets quite a bit out of the safe lane. But Slark, once again, as we mentioned earlier, is a very slippery one position, and he won't be killed off, presumably early on, aside from any missteps. Oh, I've got my second crash in a row now. 2 and
it's fine,
counting.
Game was paused anyway.
Yeah,
I got my second one as well, so all good.
Some courtesy, and shout out to the players and the admins for having had to bear with us through this phase of Reborn being put through.
The crazy thing is that Valve was like, "We fixed the issue, guys.
Yeah.
Be happy."
Yeah.
Oh no, they didn't.
But you had a working client. You had, thousands of people using Reborn while it was still in beta.
Well, I mean, I must say that I'm one to usually just completely hate on anything that's upgraded, anything that's new.
Yeah.
But the client, when you enter it, does look pretty slick, in all honesty.
It's certainly nice.
It's definitely interactive and all that jazz that's important these days.
I am extremely slowly reconnecting.
The graphics, have they updated that at all? I mean, to be honest, because of course I hadn't
it looks better in the loadout. It looks better in the loadout, to say the least. The game looks pretty crisp. Overall, I mean, Reborn's not bad.
I mean, but the game itself has always looked this good, hasn't it?
I think it looks a little better in Reborn. I think it looks a little better, a little more sharp. But
yeah, it's like,
I think FPS for most.
Oh, Nemphy's so gonna go down for first blood. A few more attacks. Yes, success for the Turkish side. Glimpse back though, they might get Necroman in return. A few more attacks, that's all they need. Okay, see ya. Yes, so wait, 1-for-1 trade. Or is it MDL? So damn squishy on the IO, and no, uphill miss.
Oh, and Disruptor, as you would expect him to do, with massive right clicks early on, 2-0 already. And that's going to help him out quite a bit. He can probably get an early set of boots here. Sitting on 480 gold. Not exactly the target you want to pick up that gold, but certainly nice nonetheless. Darkseer going to be solo in that safe lane for RNT. Radiant side, going to be that Turkish squad. Over in the mid lane, Necroman. On the Tiny, he's going to be accompanied, of course, by MDL on the Wisp. That's going to leave Shock on the Wyvern. And finally, Klisinki going to be over in that off lane, interestingly enough, on the Slark.
Yeah, a little bit weird though, Slark. You used to see him in the offlane a tiny bit, but was it the Turkish side expecting different laning, or it's hard to say and hard to speculate about it, but in situations like this. Oh, Vilex actually might be in trouble. The Pounce comes out as well. Shock already throwing out quite a bit of damage, but well, Slark only being level 1 cannot really commit all that much. Plus, well, 4 stacks of decay make Undying almost unkillable like this.
Yeah, not the target you really want to initiate on there. Bot lane, Trixie taking a ton of damage from this Ion Shell. RNT chasing him down behind the tower. He's going to turn for a Shadow Strike, and that may even be his death. He's going to have to blink here. Will blink back down towards the tower, and it wasn't the longest range blink, but RNT going to be punished for his insolence here.
Baited and outsmarted.
Outplayed and outlasted in that bot lane, and yeah, as you mentioned, it was not a role swap. It's actually just Bristol going to be towards that mid lane with the Queen of Pain off lane, and so far that 1v1 matchup is pretty favorable. Glimpse back top lane, Tombstone drop. Jock does not have the Arctic Burn for another 2 seconds, couple more right clicks. And the Wyvern going to go down again, and what a start out of the gate for Finland.
Yeah, this time around, well, of course, it's super early still, and since there's been so much action, most players, most heroes haven't had the time to really focus on just last hitting, but... Oh, Nemphy mid lane, there's the Avalanche, but Nemphy just managed to turn his back, and even with 1 point into Bristleback, it's still already damage mitigation, so it's going to be fine. And is that a bottle that's going to be coming out? Indeed it is. First going to come towards the mid lane to Nemphy, and then the courier is going to make his way back to the bottom lane. Or not back to, but just to the bottom lane to deliver it to the Queen of Pain as well.
Yeah, bot lane Arctic Burn is out, and Glasinski getting pretty low. Undying going to come in with the decay and the right clicks. They're able to turn it. The Queen of Pain does end up going down. Jock only going to be the one finding the experience for that, though. And Slark already been shut down a couple of times early on. And they're definitely okay with Trixie dying there, having already picked up his bottle, and does have a TP in tow as well to return to lane. So very timely rotation coming out from Velix's Undying there at bot lane, as they did see the lane swap of the Slark and the Dark.
It was perfectly calculated because the courier also made its way back to the base just the moment. Oh, Necroman mid lane. Never mind. There's the Avalanche. Toss as well. Nemphy gonna tank the tower a little bit and will lose his life, I think. MDL. Yes, only one more attack. Man, those turnarounds, IO coming in just in the nick of time, providing a little bit of regen with that bottle, of course, and man, this game, 3 minutes in, 8 kills.
Yeah, definitely a lot of early aggression, despite having a Winter Wyvern and a Wisp on one side, so both teams really playing far forward, and after the lane swap, maybe Nemphy jumping a little bit forward with a little bit of bloodlust there, but we'll be able to turn it around. Will that IO tiny combo, and Nemphy will return to lane, still doing just fine on the Bristleback. 15 CS is a lot more than I would have expected him to have at this time. Of course, the IO has not been present for all of this. RNT gonna look to back out OKC, and he will be able to outrun him on the Disruptor. With that 350 MS is going to be a complete tie up on that, and I've been disconnected from the game once again.
Ha! You suck.
Damn,
it's
Canadians.
totally your fault. Oh, we are gonna get the haste rune picked up by Necroman now, or well, MDL probably wants to bottle it up instead. Yeah, that's gonna be the case. For a second I thought like maybe give the bottle to Necroman for a second, have him get the haste. Just makes it easier to get close to somebody, go for the Avalanche Dust combination. But not to be this time around. Now though, RNT still facing just OKC, Disruptor being so abusive, just, well, the range advantage. Oh, mid lane, there's the Avalanche Toss, Nemphy will go down, I think, with Shock helping out. And indeed, that will be yet another kill in this game.
Yeah, so good
rotation.
rotations.
Bottom lane, Glasinski, he's on the run as well. Pounce already on cooldown, will have a Dark Pact, but well, that's not gonna help him survive at all. Trixie chases him down, gets the kill. Will the kills ever stop?
Yeah, it's going to be a really tight race in this one to come out of the laning stage ahead. I feel like the real beneficiary has been the safe lane farmer for Finland side. They haven't really been able to contest him much at all. And all the rotations needed elsewhere from both sides have kind of left him unattended in the top lane. So I feel like that's boding decently well for them.
Oh, you have reconnected.
No, I have crashed.
Oh, really? Again?
Yeah, third time. So that's a record for me, folks. Thank you for being around for history in the making. I'm just going to restart, Steve.
Most men wouldn't be able to say that they can do it 3 times in a row, man.
Yeah, now we can, and with an audience as well of 1,700 people. So
what a day.
What a lovely accomplishment that is there. But hopefully Dota, we can get some of that underway.
So at the moment, looking purely at the last hit table, Tiny, he's up there, but it's kind of to be expected with just the IO babysitting him at all times and Bristleback not really being able to put too much pressure on the Tiny. But after that, it is mostly the Dire show.
Yeah, wondering if it...
Mid lane, another toss, nicely back into those creeps as well, but just 3 points into Bristleback. The Tombstone now, Vilix really wants to turn things around, but Necromant is like, yeah, I'm gonna farm it up, but MDL, is he gonna survive? Magic Wand helps him for a little while. Necromant picks up Nymphy, and now can he go for a Vilix as well? There's the Avalanche, but he needs a toss in 1 more second. I think he's gonna get it. Tiny OP.
Right? Yeah, he is thus far in this patch, and they've been able to turn it around nicely. I wonder, have they really been able to prepare any stacks for the Radiant side, having needed all these rotations early on?
Oh, yes, there is a triple... Oh, no, a quad stack in the big camp.
Wow. So good on them in terms of their
Trixie might be in trouble. Never mind, blinks away. No pounds to connect on him.
Yes, and no game to connect for me just yet. Still waiting on it, but...
All good. You're not missing anything, just Avalanche and toss, man. It's not much to look at. Another toss, another kill, you know. Although, I mean, Nymphy with 3 points into Bristleback is somewhat durable and won't go down to one combination. Not by a long shot even, to be honest, but it's just Bristleback doesn't do too much in return either, just because if he wants to use all of the damage coming in from his ultimate, when he has enough stacks of it, he has to turn towards the Tiny to hit him, and if he gets hit by the Avalanche toss, then, well, that's when the damage really hurts.
Oh lord, I don't think I'm gonna get back into this one.
Well, what can I say, man? S happened.
Good old Radio Dota. I'll just have to listen to your smooth voice for the next while. Just restarted Dota.
You can join through Dota TV and catch with a 2-minute delay, man. Oh, glimpse onto RNT, Darkseer. Are we gonna get the root by the Spirit Bear? Ah, Spirit Bear! Never lucky. Of course, Spirit Bear doesn't have boots as well, so can't do too much.
Relocate top lane. And they're gonna look to find Boogie here. Avatos, easy kill on the lone druid, and yeah, he's very susceptible on the main hero to that combo. So finally, I do load back in here. Nymphy gonna get a bit of space mid lane. They're gonna try and bring down this combo. Tombstone gonna be popped early. Tether back to a creep, and the Wyvern gonna come through as well. Jock does not have that Winter's Curse available, but now toss forward from the Slark, and he's gonna land the pounce as well as the Dark Pact. But with his back turn, Nymphy will be able to bring him down first. Trixie gonna come through with the Sonic Wave, and does not land it onto Jock, but we'll be able to presumably bring him down as I DC again. Holy shit.
Oh man, at least you got to see some action, but
right?
The Sonic Wave did almost nothing to the Tiny. I mean, look, the Tiny's health pool, 1461.
Yeah, it looked
it's
pretty
8 minutes in. Plus he has an IO to back him up with like extra regen and stuff, and now he pops the drums. They're gonna go for Boogie again. Avalanche connects, toss will follow, and that is gonna be the kill after a few balls of the IO hit him as well. IO even had a double damage, plus not only did they get the kill, they also will claim the tier 1 tower in top lane. So definitely picking up the pace. 9-9 is the kill score, but this Tiny, he's 6-1 and 2 in the kill score. He has drums, power treads, a magic wand, and 1900 on top of that.
Yeah, I felt like when they picked up the IO, I mean, I mentioned in the draft that they put the dire side into a corner, and I really was expecting the Tiny pickup just because of how strong he has been, but they handed over to the Radiant, and certainly...
Tiny is pretty much doubling the net worth of anybody else, so Trixie isn't getting quite doubled, but it's not too far off either.
Yeah, and how much is the Queen of Pain doing for you relative to the Tiny at this point? I mean, Avalanche Toss combo right now is so deadly with them both being maxed up. Yeah, so the gank is real, and Trixie hopefully does not show himself bot lane. I mean, Nymphy and Velix are here, and they're baiting this Queen of Pain out, but I don't know if the trap's really going to be sprung. If Necroman gets into range, it's a dead Queen of Pain. Avalanche is there. Toss, nicely placed as well. And it's a dead Queen of Pain. And now they can't even turn the fight with TPs coming in. They're going to just be able to focus down this Tombstone fairly easily. Soul Rip going to be too late. Winter's Curse comes out. Nymphy going to be dropped as well. And Turkey completely overwhelming Finland in this one. Relocate forward. And they'll find him with the Avalanche. Felix, despite all the strength, going to drop here as well. And overall, looks like Finland are just going to be kind of toyed with in this one. I mean, what do you do with your free farming Lone Druid at this point? That's really what I don't understand the draft from Lone Druid. Not sure if for you,
he still
but
doesn't
for me,
have his first Midas.
He has a clean shave, though, at least on my screen. No beard.
For me, he still has the good old beard. And looks exactly like whichever actor. I think in the movie he was called like Jebediah or something from Iron Man 1. The business partner of Stark.
He certainly does. Looking grim for the Dire. Looking very grim. Mid laner is below 4 heroes on the Radiant side in terms of net worth right now.
Oh, Klasinki. Okay, see, never mind. Not gonna get the kill. Had an observer ward. Saw that the Slark is super low, but couldn't get quite close enough for the glimpse. And then Slark just popped his ultimate and ran away. So Boogie, is that even gonna be a Midas? Is it just going for Maelstrom now?
Yeah, it seems like a little late for a Midas pickup at this point. Probably expect the Maelstrom. The Bear gonna try and run down this Wisp, but not even in attack range, excuse me, regardless. And 3 heroes now gonna group up mid from the Dire side, and I mean the Radiant don't even really need to bring over anyone else but this Wisp Tiny. In the very least, they're not killable without some very lucky roots, but they're gonna group up around the Tombstone, and they're gonna elicit a response from the Radiant side. And RNT gonna surge up to Tiny, blink for it, avalanche onto 2, Toss is there as well. He does get it up onto the Bristleback, unfortunately. Sonic Wave comes out onto 2, they're gonna have to relocate them out. And everyone blinks back, still surviving from the Radiant side. Slark gonna pounce in from the low ground though, will latch it onto the lone Druid, but is in a bit of trouble himself, will have to pop his ultimate and back up. And overall, no one gonna die after a pretty big bloodbath in the mid lane, but still, really nothing expended from either side. And
Sonic Wave was the biggest one, so that's not going to be around for another 100 seconds for Trixie, but it was... Oh, Nemphy, there's the toss coming out, and a few more punches, they're going to be able to chase down Nemphy easily with the drums popped. But most of the damage was just like purely done by Tiny there with the avalanche and toss.
Yeah. You don't give away this combo. I mean, it's really that simple. At least right now, no one has figured out a way to deal with the early aggression coming out from this Tiny. The avalanche toss with the ability to spam it as much as he is now.
You really need to have like a laning phase to maybe like face dual lane against Yayo, Tiny mid lane.
Perhaps
you cannot have him snowball.
Yeah.
You just no.
I mean, they're totally irrelevant right now. The Radiant cores are, Trixie is dealing a decent amount of damage, but still sitting on level 8 and really nowhere near a major item at this point. And the lone Druid, I mean, really what your Bear has matters little when they can just blink forward for the main hero and just Avatoss you to death. So Tombstone going to be expended bottom to back off Necroman, but that's going to be down for the next little bit, and no kill potential really anywhere for the Finland side. And now Boogie has picked up the Maelstrom on his Bear, but is there much they can do with this at this point aside from farm? I mean, RNT's been pinged out, but he's got the Surge available. So aside from a very lucky root timing, it's going to be difficult for them to bring him down. Lone Druid, going to show himself in lane, and Trixie there as well, but they have no Orchid, so really no way to kill off this Darkseer. And as hard as it was originally, now he's got the mech. So RNT feeling very safe in this lane right now.
Yeah, it's not just like having a mech on your team as it would be in general. If the IO gets hit by it as well, whoever he's tethered to, well, most likely the Tiny, it's gonna be such a huge burst of healing if Tiny is in the normal mech range himself as well on top of that. But Queen of Pain looks to be going for an Aghanim Scepter, so at least she will have quite a bit of burst rather often to try to mitigate it. Oh! Well, there was a Disruptor.
14 minutes in, godlike streak for Necroman. Really feel like it's been big time outdraft in both these games, but maybe a little too early to say that. Trixie going to be tossed up and brought down. Avalanche will be there. Doesn't get the blink off in time. Double kill and beyond godlike streak for Necroman. And this is hitting.
Finland is tactically feeding to get a higher reward when ending the streak.
Definitely. Seems like the obvious play here. Jump forward, have a toss onto the Bristleback, and even the Bristleback not nearly durable enough to be able to withstand this combo. Jump in from Valix with the Tombstone. Don't know if you want to walk any more far forward, buddy. You're be in a little bit of trouble on the Undying. And only level 6 is going to back off. You look at the levels right now. 12, 10, and 9 to the 3 cores. 9, 9, and 9. Radiant to Dire respectively. So things looking pretty sad for the Dire side. The supports are even more starved out. Level 6 and 5 on the Undying to the 8 and 7 on the Wisp and Wyvern. So Radiant at this point, 7,500 net worth lead. Almost about that in the way of experience as well. And it seems like only a matter of time before they take this series 2-0.
Yeah, it's just a massive showing by them, to be honest, for now. But in all honesty, even should Finland lose this 2-0, they still won 2-0 against both France and Bosnia, so just advancing from the group is almost certain for them anyway, but it's always better to take the first seed if you can.
Yeah, and it's gonna play a little bit of a role in the mental aspect. I mean, hereafter, I mean, as strong as they are and winning 2 series now, we expect Turkey to move on in the top 2 of the group as well. So it's not unlikely that these two teams face up against each other once again. And really, I mean, this game, of course, much more so than in game 1. Turkey very dominant. Relocate top lane. And they're going to find out OKC again. Avatos right-click. Dead Disruptor. And with the vacuum into the Winter's Curse, I mean, this whole dire lineup has been really brought underneath the jaws of defeat. And Boogie going to try and back out, but the pounce from the east side will catch out Trixie. Couple more right-clicks. This is a dead Queen of Pain. The Bear getting very low is going to drop. That's some easy gold for the Radiant side. Slark going to pick that up. Avatos comes through from Necroman. Nemphy going to drop as well. And 2 down.
Do you just tap out at this point? It's like,
I feel like you do. I feel like you. I mean, what is there left for them to do? The level advantage is now monumental.
If Disruptor had level 6, maybe they can turn around the relocate like that. Just wait with, or yeah, that's just it. If this fight, if they had a static storm to throw into the kinetic field to begin with, it would have been a whole different story. But it's like it's 17 minutes Aghanim's now as well for Tiny. Unbelievable performance.
Very, very nice win coming out from Turkey, and they look super calculated. You mentioned it early on. I mean, they have a lot more chemistry than people give them credit for. And looking really strong all series long. Feel like in both games they outdrafted on top of really outplaying Finland. So back to the drawing board it is for Finland, 2-0. Turkey there going to be still undefeated thus far, and Finland going to take their first loss of the tournament and their first series loss of the tournament in addition. So very well played to Turkey, and congrats to all you value bettors who picked them up over on Esport Gaming and Dota 2 Lounge. So well done to you guys.
Yeah, man. Bettors definitely happy. Or, well, most of them, I guess, are extremely unhappy right about now, but that is life. You can't really help it, but well, I guess this is it for us for the day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you have enjoyed the casting as well. I myself haven't casted for a long time, or at least not much at least. But were some fun games. Game number 2, certainly extremely action-packed, so I enjoyed it at least. You didn't see half of it, but fortunately.
Yeah, Tiny.io, guys, ban it. Just ban it.
Yes,
or,
ban it for sure. But
very few ways.
If you want to, in general, see more of us, you can check me out at Couchor and our lovely Canadian caster at MRP_Dota, which is so hard for people to find, probably.
Right? Underscores Dan's game, honestly.
Yeah, MRP stands for More Rage Please, by the way.
That it does.
Why didn't you rage when you were disconnecting, man?
Right.
You
right?
didn't like
just
keep true.
Trying to keep composed in front of the viewers, but anyway, guys, once again, appreciate the support. Thanks for joining us, and all the best. More Dota to come your way. Game show going on actually right now, and some of the games are going to be going on fairly soon, and that'll be 2 a.m. EST to start. Once again, we have a couple of series carrying over from yesterday, and then another full day of games, and then tomorrow there'll be some more national, so be sure to follow us over on Twitter.
Tomorrow
and
might
we'll
not have any national games. I think they
it's
continue
been
on Sunday.
Quite a few schedule changes. Game show for sure starting at 9 CET tomorrow, so 9 a.m. CET or 3 a.m. Eastern, so be around for that, guys, and thanks for joining us once again. GG.
See ya, guys.